Welcome back to the channel, Gyro here. I'm back in World of Warcraft to check out Undermined patch 11.1 of World of Warcraft, and today we are talking about Operation Floodgate, the new dungeon that was added to this patch. It's a nice, neat little dungeon, so I'm just going to disappear from the screen. I read the script so that I don't rant too much, but yeah, definitely going to be posting a few other videos about World of Warcraft, my impressions of Undermined, new delves, and so on and so forth. So like the video while I have your attention. So at the moment of recording of this video, we only had access to normal and to follower dungeon versions of Operation Floodgate. So obviously we are not going to be talking about any advanced boss mechanics or anything like this. We are going to talk in general what the dungeon is like, what the pathing is like, what to look out for, and just gonna familiarize ourselves with this content. And I am absolutely promising to you that I will revisit this once mythic versions, once heroic versions are available, and we will talk a bit more about proper tanking tips of this. Okay, so Operation Floodgate has 4 bosses. It offers flexible pathing, and possibly that flexible pathing is going to make it popular as Mythic Plus because it supports creativity of navigation, aka skips. So good tanks will find the way to skip a lot of content and make it better. Key points of interest in the dungeon are predetermined, however, which means that you will need to, say, pilfer the stockpiles of weapons, and most of them are in direct proximity and dependency on the boss that is still standing nearby. So you will have to go through the boss to destroy the stockpile, no matter how much you try to navigate around it. So there is kind of, yes, flexible navigation, but it's kind of pointless. For now, I would recommend that you enter follower dungeon as DPS and tell your Captain Garrick to take the lead. Yeah, NPC will take the lead. She is not an amazing tank, of course, and she will pull very sparingly and slowly, so that will test your patience for sure. But in many cases, you can pull a bit more trash ahead and pull it to her to speed up the clear with AoE kind of DPSing. There will be a lot of goblin signature things happening all over the place, unsurprisingly, such as fire and lightning, AoE on the ground, spinning blades and explosions, so needless to say, practice while all of this doesn't hurt too much and get out of it. Try your best to learn that way, I would say. Ignoring these mechanics fully right now would speed up the run, of course, but would waste your time overall, teaching you nothing and not preparing you for the content becoming real in heroic and mythic difficulties. At least I think so. It sounds boring, but I do believe that you can use this time wisely. First boss here is Big Mama, and I really liked fighting that boss for some reason. Maybe I just have been away for too long. She has all the expected corny, stereotypical mom phrases, so try and not disappoint Big Mama if you can. One real threat in this dungeon, jokes aside, is one type of a trash mob, which could be Venture Architect, but maybe I'm wrong because there are lots of them there and all of them are shooting at you, so it's hard to tell which one. I think that Architect uses the nail gun that pins you down and roots you in place. The problem with it is not even that fact, which already is annoying. It chain roots you, which means that it roots you for like 2.5 seconds or whatever, but you can't move after the duration is over because they will chain root you again and again and again while they are alive. You will not be able to move at all. It's very dangerous, right? And it's a clear sign that pulling too much in higher difficulties is not going to end really well for you. I've done this on a second run when I was in a tanking spec, and I kind of just ran ahead because I thought nothing is gonna kill me, and I survived like a paladin, like a paladin does. I survived, shamefully, but it was clearly not a pretty sight, and that would have ended up in a wipe if it was any real dungeon difficulty. So definitely, look, curb your enthusiasm. It's going to be a little bit of a balancing act between going too fast and not too fast, and pace your pulls a little bit seriously. Once you defeat the second boss, the 2 engineer bosses, which Garrick, the Captain Garrick, paths to as the second stop for her, at least in her programming there, you will return then to the center of the sludge pool, and once stockpiles are cleared, you will return to the center of the sludge pool, clear that kelp trash there, and the third boss will emerge, called Swamp Face. Swamp Face is nothing special, and the only things that I noticed, at least in this difficulty, is that he does a frontal kind of cone attack, which probably would hit really hard if you're a DPS and not a tank, so stand somewhere else, don't stand in front of him. And then he also summons these moving electrified bubbles of water, I don't know, that you should obviously dodge. It is not hard, but it does look like a mythic. It possibly has a potential of being rather hectic. Once Swamp faces down, you will enter a little tunnel behind him. You will drop down, straight down, and then follow the bridges elevated above the water to the final boss. Just open the map. There is nowhere else to go there. It's a pretty clear then jog to the finish after a few trash pulls. The one single fun pull here is where the group of trash, a rather big group of trash, you're like bracing yourself before you engage with them, but they are wiped out by a non-mini boss called Bubbles, who is adorable, absolutely adorable. But as a tank, I would suggest that you do turn him to the side a little bit, kind of just angle him, don't tank him straight on. Simply because he starts channeling this kind of jet of water, which looks like it would blow your group away and off the bridge if they're caught in his stream of water. So just do the basics, do the basics. Final boss was really nothing special. Here again we're seeing that he projects these multiple lines on the ground, which are going to be the projection of his electric beams that you obviously should avoid. Then he bombards the area with splashes of presumably water, so that's about it. Now, what do I think overall about the Operation Floodgate? It's okay. It's nothing special, in all honesty. It fits kind of just the thematic of the Undermined as a patch. It is okay. It is not an unpleasant dungeon, like I can think of quite a few right now. But it's nothing to write home about either. I have not been playing World of Warcraft for almost 6 months, so for me it was a kind of healthy dose of new entertainment, something I have not seen before. So maybe if you are similar to me and returning right now to run the new LFR, the new Liberation of Undermined raid that is about to open, for you doing a few runs of new delves and a few runs of this new Operation Floodgate, I think is going to be a time well spent. The only thing I have to say here as a final point is that some dungeons, a lot of dungeons in the War Within, I'd say, are known for some particularly good loot. Here, I looked at obviously at the journal, at the dungeon journal, at the loot kind of lists, adventure journal, whatever it's called, and I did not see anything that would be like, wow, I really need this transmog, or wow, I really need this weapon. Somehow I didn't see anything. One thing I got there is a pet. That little kind of cute little crawler with a bomb attached to it. But unfortunately in World of Warcraft everything is so tiny, those pets are so tiny, that when you summon them, they are barely visible under your feet, especially if you're running through the water, you just don't see him at all. That's the only thing. But collectors, pet collectors are going to say, wow, what are you talking about, Gyro? We have to go to Operation Floodgate to get that little pet at least. There you go, my friends. So I am back in action. Like I said, I subscribe month by month. I never pay for long-term subscriptions. I'm going to absolutely stay at the very least for the opening of LFR and see how Operation Liberation of Undermine feels as a raid. And in the meantime, just going to probably do some delving, going to test Brand the tank. So stay tuned, there definitely is going to be World of Warcraft content on the channel, at least for the upcoming month or two. Give the video a like if I deserve it and you want me to know that there are still people watching in my community World of Warcraft videos, while mostly I was focusing on Path of Exile lately. And yeah, goodbye for now. I'll talk to you next week about something Path of Exile and definitely World of Warcraft related as well. See you later. Bye for now.